Bringing that good music. Yahweh International. New Foundation Production presents.
It's your boy Keith in the building again. Food for thought. And man, there's so much to talk about today. Just want to thank our sponsors, Yahweh International, New Foundation Productions. Man, we much love for you guys, man. Just allowing us the opportunity to reach out to the masses and, give them that food for thought. Man, I don't even know where to start. It's so much, but let's just start. I'm not going to start with the most obvious thing, which is the racism stuff that's going on. That's an easy one for me to start with, but I'm going to go back to politics because let me share with you guys something that I've been experiencing since the election. I consider myself somebody who's in the middle. And what does that mean? When you're in the middle, that means that there are things on both the left and the right that you tend to agree with. You're not polarized to where one side is the evil and the other side is the evil. It's just the way it is. Now, I lean more towards the right because a lot of the things have to do with my belief systems and how I think in general about taxes. That tends to be over with the Republicans. But socially, there's some concerns that I have that tends to be more over to the left, to the Democrats. Because if you really are understanding politics, Republicans don't like funding. Social services is not one of their big trumpets. How I know, I live in Texas and trust and believe if you are suffering from mental illness in this state, you're going to have a hard time, you getting services. It's just, versus if you're in California, you're going to get all the services you need, even if that state goes bankrupt trying to give it to you. That's the other problem with that. So when we talk about politics, you have to be rational about things. And I'm going to help everybody understand in a basic way, let alone if you are a Trump supporter, a non-Trump supporter, if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat. This is not rocket science, people. Let me just start with the most basic Trump platforms. All right, here we go. Let's just deal with the manufacturing. I have gone into Trump groups, pages where they, all Trump supporters, and I run into the same issue when I want to talk about policy. When you ask them what Trump policies you support, they'll say, oh, all of them. Well, I'm like, okay, be more specific, which ones? No, all of them. And then I'll just, we'll start on a conversation and then they divert from the conversation as we get deeper into the conversation and just be like, no, they immediately start going, it's the left, it's their fault. They can't, they're surface on policy. They don't know complex policy. So all they know is that basic stuff, rhetoric. They only know that stuff. And let me help everybody out now that I've established that. Let's start with manufacturing. This is the area that I do support Trump in. I do think I've been saying for a gazillion years before Trump was even in office that we should have never let our manufacturing get out of this country. But first we have to understand why manufacturing left in the first place. Okay, and see, you can't have it both ways. You have to have an overall understanding about business to understand how it happened. So when America was a powerhouse in manufacturing, right, we were kicking butt and we didn't need no one to do it for us. What ended up happening as different people became president, there's a thing called regulations. And these regulations hurt businesses in some ways. And a lot of regulations were for good reasons. Pollution was out of control, our air and our water, and a lot of it had to do with factories and other industrial type of businesses. It just was a fact. It wasn't even rocket science, let alone if they tried to hide it and got caught. Everybody realized that we were polluting ourselves the same way China is now. So you had all these regulations, and those regulations start really cutting into profits and workability for these business owners. So that was problem number one. So now here comes the second problem. As time was going on, the cost of living increased, but the amount you were paying the workers stayed normal or decreased. So then your unions came, and then your unions start striking for better pay, better wages, better medical, right? These two components, if you ask anybody that's in those fields of business, they will say that's why we left. They were bankrupting us, along with their pensions, okay? For you layman's people that don't understand business, I'm a business person, it's not rocket science. I am hooking you up. So pensions, unions, regulations was putting a chokehold. Well, let alone if you liked it or not, this is what led companies to leave, because what was happening was you had foreign companies, China and Korea, Mexico, other companies through whatever trade agreements we have saying, hey, why don't you bring that manufacturing over here? We can do it for much cheaper. And when they say much cheaper, that's an understatement. When they say much cheaper, in a lot of cases, it was slave labor. Kids, women, just whoever. And that later on down the road, of course, that got found out as people were visiting factories and just seeing how that labor was getting done, especially in the garment industry. That really started coming out, how slave labor in different countries. But the reality is those companies did leave. A lot of companies just bailed and they just said, hey, so if you had one company go over to China and you see their profits going through the roof, the board members happy, they're making money, and you think another company's not going to see that and bounce? So everybody bounced. Look, business is about making money first and foremost. And if the board members and the shareholders are getting paid, I'm sorry, America's not first. That's just the way it was, which is why they all left. And they used real truth about why they were leaving. A, B, C, and D. Those were truths. Regulations, unions, pensions, and all these other things were basically cutting into their profits and bankrupting them. There were some that didn't make it out. They just went straight belly up. So boom, now they're over in these countries and they are making a killing because it only costs them, let's say it costs $10 to make a product here and it costs $1 over there. That's not rocket science. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So, after years and years and years and decades and decades and decades of them being gone, China, when you look at China's own industrial issues, their air is a hot mess. Everything about them environmentally is pretty much bad. And they admit it, that after decades of industrialization, that it has impacted them. If we want to see what America would have looked like from an environmental standpoint, all you gotta do is look at China. Most of those companies are westernized countries. We're just polluting the daylights out of him. The problem with that, environmentally, that's not rocket science neither. But here's a couple of things I want to share with you guys. When you take your product to another country, let me tell you what's going on. While they're manufacturing your product, they're stealing your intellectual property and creating their own cheaper version of whatever you're doing. You're winning and losing at the same time. So if you have an electronic technology, and this is not news. This is well, it's news to people who are not up on the know. But the reality was, whatever we were bringing to them, they were exploiting it by creating it cheaper. So, which is why they became a powerhouse. They're doing our manufacturing, learning our technology, and offering it cheaper, right? So there are tons of lawsuits against China around intellectual property stealing and copyright infringement and trademark and Lord knows what else. Pretty much everything that's bootleg and everything else you can think of comes from over there. They are the bootleg capital. You can go over there and buy a pair of Jordans, the real Jordans without Jordan's logo on it. And it's the same shoe. You got to understand something about, it's called licensing. When you are a business owner of a product, these companies are going to come to you and say, hey, we can make your shoe, your suit, or whatever it may be. They buy it wholesale, but they present you with the product first without your logo on it. So here's what we would do with your Nikes, and here's what we would do with your this and that. So you're not going to just sign over whatever for no reason. You want to see the quality, right? You want to see what they're doing. So what happens with licenses is basically you come in agreement with somebody to manufacture your product. You're licensing your name to their product. Do you understand what I'm saying? China for a long time would not let American companies own companies and manufacturing companies in the United States. And I'm not sure if that has changed. I don't think it really has, but you can partner, but you can't own. Matter of fact, I think that's what it is. So henceforth, I'm Michael Jordan. I want to get my shoe made at this factory. We can get a good rate at it. And they're going to produce these Jordans for $20. Lord knows what it is now. Back in the day, I think it was like a $50 shoe, which is why they were so expensive. And then, of course, the more popular, the more they produce, the lower the rate. It's like anything wholesale. The more you order, the cheaper it gets to make. So Lord knows what it really costs now. About $20 is what I heard last time I checked. And so, of course, they just stitch your logo on there and there's some Jordans. And of course, we pay an astronomical amount of money for a shoe that is made in China, or Lord knows where it's made now, probably still there, but with a logo stamped on it, right? Those same warehouses manufacture other shoemakers. That's what they do. It's a shoe manufacturing company, but some companies, when Americans start finding out about that, some brands separated their brands from other companies. They didn't want their shoes made the same places. Adidas didn't want their shoes made here, or so-and-so didn't want their shoes made there, right? So people start, basically using their own warehouses. And China's hip to the game. They know how to work it. Okay, you don't want us making nobody else's shoes in here. Cool, we'll just make this shoe here. So Trump gets in office. Well, first of all, Trump is a businessman. And he admits himself at first, he kind of got busted on David Letterman talking about, American manufacturing. He had his tie on. Remember that? Was that on, I think that was on Letterman. One of these shows, Trump was talking about American manufacturing. And whoever it was asked him about his tie. He said, I think it was made here, and it wasn't. It was made in China. Just a bad moment for Trump. Trump sometimes he's not a good speaker, people. He's not, his strong point is not speaking and facts. He gets emotional, and then that leads him in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, in general, that's how when something happens, you could see how they gets him in trouble. So, and that's for even Trump too. Trump licenses his name to people. People come to Trump and say, "Hey, I want to build this building. We want to license your name." Trump will say, "Okay, I will license my Trump name for $20 million, and you can build this building in my name." But lots of times, if he's not getting a good percentage when he's getting a lower percentage of royalties or whatever they get for these buildings, it's because they're paying him up front for the licensing. So that's what a lot of these companies want to do. They want to pay you up front for the right to use your name and put your stamp on it. You're not an owner, you're an investor, basically. That's business 101. But the common American public doesn't understand these things. So, they think, oh my gosh, he has, he's a great builder, he's this, that. No. That's a license to do that. But business people, we get it and we understand. So let's just keep moving forward with Trump's manufacturing. So now Trump is in office and he says, we're going to bring back manufacturing. And if you don't come back, we're going to tax you. Now, anybody in business knows that you're not going to do that because you have not reformed you have no tax reform. See? But see, the normal people here, we're bringing back manufacturing and they think that's going to happen, right? It's like Santa Claus is going to jump down the chimney and give us gifts. That's a lack of knowledge. He's basically verbally saying to everybody, we need to get our manufacturing back. I think all Americans are going to say, yes, we do. We're going to tax you tariffs if you don't. No, you can't, because you haven't put in place good tax reform, which is why the Republicans are constantly like, we need to stop all this other stuff and get some stuff done while you're in office. You understand? See, this is not hard to understand. So what he does in the interim is he does what he can do with his power, which is strike up agreements with current companies to build manufacturing here, right? It's nothing for these companies to open a plant or two here or invest in $100 million or $1 billion in the United States. People, that is a drop in the well compared to what they're making overseas. So when you hear that so-and-so's company is going to invest $1 billion, if you're investing $1 billion out of your $90 billion company, it's not a big deal. It's like a record deal. Like when you get signed as an artist to a record deal and they give you $100,000 and they're making 50 million. You think you're rich with that 100. Yeah, they gave me $100,000. Fool, they just made $50 million off of you. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the problem with manufacturing. Here, I'm going to help basically break it down for you. For him to bring manufacturing to the United States, here's what needs to happen. A, first of all, the companies got to want to come back. They don't want to come back because they're getting cheap labor, right? So how do you do that? A, you deal with regulations, which Trump has already kind of done that. He's got rid of some regulations to make it easier for companies to come back. Two, you got to work on the tax code, which has not happened. That is a major part of bringing companies back. Is the tax code for businesses and companies and all that stuff. A lot of people are not going to like it because it's going to look like the rich are getting richer. Yeah, that's probably is going to be what happens because they're going to get some tax breaks, big ones. Once you do that, the number one thing which is going to stop them from coming back and putting manufacturing in the United States are the unions. Most manufacturing jobs are union skilled jobs that are still here. A lot of these manufacturers are still in America in different platforms, but they're still union. How do you get around that? And that's why a lot of companies are not going to come all the way back. There is no getting around that. They've been in other countries for a long period of time, making a buttload of money, like ridiculous money for their shareholders and board members. So now I've just schooled you about manufacturing. Is manufacturing coming back 100% to the United States? Absolutely not. Are some of these companies going to build factories here? Yes, absolutely they are. But the reality is to completely fix this problem, Trump has got to get off of Twitter, stop getting caught up in this media madness, and A, fix the tax code, B, continue with regulations, which is going to be a problem environmentally. Okay, see both sides. I see both sides because I'm in the middle. Getting rid of regulations is going to help business, but it's going to do it's going to cause problems for our environment. See, it's not rocket science. Now, if I was a leftist, I'd be like up in arms, but I'm not. It's just, I deal with facts. So that's what needs to happen for manufacturing to come back to America. Now, when I've tried to have this conversation with Trump supporters, they can't go that deep because they don't understand. They only understand what's said and they don't understand process, right? And I mean, I'm in Texas. I've had straightforward conversations with serious Trump supporters, and all they can talk about is the left. And rarely are they willing to talk about policies outside of what they heard during the elections. See, I'm an astute listener and a fact finder and a history and knowledge knower. That's how I roll. I don't hear nothing for face value without researching it myself. And as a business owner, I already know. Why do you think I moved to Texas in the first place? I lived in California where it's very liberal and very left. I left there because I didn't like taxes. And now I live in a state that has no state tax. That's not rocket science. So the money that the California state was wasting and not putting into education and important things and doing dumb stuff with it, I now keep that money and reinvest it back in my company. Dang, Arquise, that's pretty good. Yeah, it is. That's what happens when you don't, when you're in the middle, right? And America is first, and you want America to be great, versus being on the left and right, yelling and screaming at each other all the time, like two kids on the playground. Look, the left and the right they just care about hating each other. That's why nothing's getting done. We need more independent. We need to break away from those parties and have more independents, people who understand real truth about how democracy works and quit trying to shove leftist and right mindset down our throats. But also with that is whenever party gets in office, you ain't gotta like it. If they won, they just won. Look. Yes. Do I believe Russia interfered? Yeah, I do. But guess what? It is what it is. He's in there now. If it comes out that he was involved and he knew, then okay, he'll pay the price. But until then, I can't, those are my personal opinions. And until you can prove it in the court, oh well. See how that works? Now, somebody from the left wouldn't be that calm about it. They would be losing their mind. But when you're in the middle, you have to deal with things from a practical standpoint. You know what I'm saying? And the Constitution, you have to just roll with that. There's just no way around it. Okay, that's manufacturing. I hope you got something from that. We're gonna take a break and play some music. It's your boy Keith, the Food for Thought Project. Man, it's your boy in the middle trying to bring everybody together, man. And just America first. Forget about making America great again, because to be honest, I didn't never like that statement, because I to say that means that it was great for everybody, and of course it was not. But what you can say is make America first. That is something that everybody can ride with. I'm not building no schools and no infrastructure in other countries if we need it here. I'm gonna build everything that needs to be built in this country before I build it in somebody else's house. You don't in your own personal house, do you go over to your neighbor's house and put cable? Nah, you don't do that. Do you pay for their phone bills and all that stuff when your kids ain't? No, you don't do that. There are tons of things that you, in your own personal home, in your yard, your living, that you don't just go knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, I'm just gonna take care of all this for you, right? That's how I see it. We have to take care of the things in America that need taken care of. And if you've ever gone to rural America, some of the most desolate places in this country, you will see a lot of things that need to get taken care of. So that's just me. I cannot support doing anything in another country when it needs to get done here. That's just food for thought. It's your boy Keith. Man, Yahweh International, New Foundation Productions. We're gonna play some music. It's your boy Keith. Let's go.
Christ side, we right here. Lifestyle of a rider. 567, baby. Hey yo, ANC, we gon' drop them so far. My dogs against the grain, man. I put 5 on them eyes. Come on, I drop 5 on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the father now, that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. I drop 5 on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the father, tell him that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. Label me mortal, I'm against all lies. Fly drops like 2 peas in a pot. Me and my God drop prize, making heads nod. I ride fortified, gone off that most high. Pulse it alive, holy strap on my right side. When I get to busting these spiritual tongues, bluffing and nothing stopping me, bored until he comes and it's all done. When a prodigal son goes from hood raised to center stage, locked in a cage, hide on bail, giving God praise. Living in persecution, that was illusion. Choosing fools be running about you with wicked solution, moving hard to lose them. Using the feel of my past, label me dead and never could last. Fast be running about you, ready to get you if they had you. Flipping the script, I never could you if you get this. Living my life religious, so the Pharisees never could get this. Telekinesis, I follow Jesus, not your thesis. Please us, cause only the Father can pick up my pieces. So leave us wrong. 5 on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the Father now, that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. I drop 5 on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the Father, tell him that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. Now I was raised on this concrete. Could never be weak, slanging OCs to make ends meet. Or you don't eat, soldier hog life to make friends. So many lost in the wind, I bend my knee for my dogs in the pen. Trend like fog through these Frisco catacombs. Call me Houdini's clone, cause I should've been gone. Still I roam by the grace of God, flint hard. Live by the law, you gon' fall if you thinking that you hard. Now it's all raw, my soldiers that's on welfare. He's still there, see I'm a living testimony of the prayers. Intercession in the 3rd Brigade, slot time of raid. Plug stage to my thugs, I got love for days. Did your block for them street tools. Call me the fool cause I dropped out of school and sold a knock or 2. And yet I'm cool with the red or blue. Now who the newly young dog would've run back home to snatch you? I drop 5 on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the Father now, that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. I drop 5 on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the Father, tell him that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. On the dark side, holding up the light. That's how it's going down. Come on. Hey, hey. West side, it's Christ side. Hold it down, yeah. Hey, 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 hey. I'm still scrapping like a savage, boy. That's what's up. While the wicked, they live in lavish, boy. That's what's up. I put mine in for show, time in 88 to 95, banging and grinding. Accumulate ways to separate the fake, to agitate the 7 to 8 with rhymes that stimulate. We gladiate to infiltrate the weight, suffocate to forsake the path we must take. Drop fire on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the fallen now, that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. I drop fire on the eyes, man. That's what's up. Hit the block, never stop, homie. That's what's up. If you riding with the fallen, tell them that's what's up. What? That's what's up. Come on, that's what's up. Hey, 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 hey.
Yeah, that's that Ace Dog from Christ-Size Soldiers, and that's Against All Odds. And we want to just thank our sponsors, Yahweh International, New Foundations Productions, for putting together that Armageddon CD, man. It is fire. You got to get it, man. Just look it up, Yahweh International. Just look them up and you'll find this album. And man, I mean, that Ace Dog was a beast when it came to ministry, straight up. And Against All Odds is just the essence of Christ-Size Soldiers, are really kind of where we all need to be right now. You know what I'm saying? We need to be standing against all odds. You know, the devil's at work. Trust and believe. So we're going to get right back to it, man. And we're going to be talking about, we talked about manufacturing, right? Now I want to talk about immigration. This is another one. I've brought this up, man, but people, the immigration is not complicated. Let me help out the layman out there, the non-knowing, the people who only listen to things from the surface and don't dig deep. Check it. First of all, let me start with this statement. I don't support sanctuary cities. And let me explain to you why. I don't support sanctuary cities because I've lived in them and I know exactly what happens when you set up a sanctuary city. First of all, let's be clear. If they're telling you they're setting these cities up to help immigrants, that's not true. The real fact is this: a lot of sanctuary cities are used as hub for workforce. If you didn't know this, let alone if it's the restaurant industry, the farming, there are a lot of industries that are really using illegal workforce to do the jobs that really Americans don't want to do. And I'm going to talk about why Americans don't do them and don't want to do them, but not yet. So let me explain something to you. What happens, and if you've lived in California, you've seen this. There are these white vans that will drive from certain parts of California, let alone if it's in the farming district areas, or places where restaurants or labor is done, especially in construction and farming, where they'll go to specific areas where they know these people are, pick them up and give them jobs, right? Sounds like a good thing, right? It just, first of all, they're not supposed to be there, number one. Number two, the labor is really exploitation. Let me just get to it. It's exploitation work because you're going to pick up this workforce. You're going to make them work crazy hours with no health care, with no benefits, for little to no, I mean, I won't say little to no money, but with not enough money to even live on. But in your mind, you're figuring you're coming from a place where you had nothing anyway, so you're going to accept this. Absolutely. So they come over here and they accept it. Right. So now sanctuary cities are places that illegals can go knowing they're going to find work and knowing that they're going to be protected in some weird kind of way. Basically not protected, but just certain laws are not going to be enforced as far as deporting them. Right. And so certain parts of California is the extreme of that, with LA being probably one of them, and maybe the Bay Area in some aspects being the next, but LA for sure. So now you have this workforce that you're not paying healthcare to, you're giving them an unbelievably low wage. As a business owner, you're winning. That's why they want sanctuary cities, because as far as making money, the business industry is profiting off exploitation. That's all it is. Okay. It's no different. Just look, let me help you understand it. if a girl says she doesn't mind being sex trafficked, she likes it, it's still exploitation. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be exploiting women illegally to make a profit, let alone if she says she's cool with it or not. That's how you create the industry, right? So now we've got all these people, all these states and these business people exploiting cheap labor. It's illegal and it's wrong, because what you don't see is the environment that these people work in, the conditions. There's a lot of stuff that happens. See, that's the problem with America. We try to act like we don't see it. And when we see other countries doing slave labor or exploitation labor, oh, we think, we can't believe it. I'm completely mad and blah 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 blah. I'm like, you don't need to go to other countries to see that. All you need to do is go to any area, any state that supports sanctuary, and see how business people are exploiting them. And the main two areas are in construction and farming, flat out. Okay, so it's just you can't say it ain't real, because you can hop into a car and go to any one of those type of industries and see it for yourself. Okay, Lord knows I have. I've had clients who I had to go talk to their parents and spoke no English, and after interpretation, you find out I'm in Linga, where you work. We work 12-hour days and blah, 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 or more. Vacation pay, what's that? You know what I'm saying? It's just wrong, right? So now here we go. Trump comes to office. We're gonna get rid of these illegals. See, here's why that didn't make sense. First of all, we're gonna build a wall. I can solve this. This one was not complicated either. This was another simple one. But see, you got to stop closing your eyes to real truth and closing your eyes to your party. Here's the problem. Mexico's going to pay for the wall. As soon as you heard that, any intellectual person, anybody that understands business, anybody that understands finance, knew it was a lie, even though it sounded good. It always sounds good. Everything you hear from politicians and people running for office always sounds good, but they don't tell you how they're going to get it done. He said we're going to get Mexico to pay it. Now, I knew that was crazy. They can't even stop the drugs from coming into this country. If Mexico had the money to build a wall, they should have the money to stop their drugs from coming over here. That was just stupidity to even believe that. And when you heard him say it, everybody's cheering in the background. And I'm looking like, oh my gosh, where do these people live? Like, these people can't be this dense. They were so desperate to believe Trump. They were so desperate for change. They'd believe anything, right? So then you have the problem. A, Mexico's never paying for the wall. And then you have the other problem. Everybody knows in the drug trafficking industry, and it's the industry because they're making money in all sorts of ways, and criminals, that there are thousands of tunnels leading from houses on their side to warehouses and houses on our side. They want you to catch the drugs on the plane. That's nothing. Here, let me explain it to you. They know you're going to catch the drugs on the planes. They know you're going to catch some of the drugs coming through on the border. They expect it. The drugs they don't want you finding are the ones that's in the tunnels on the little railroads. The amount of drugs that are trafficked between the tunnels, the railroad tunnels, and what you see on the surface is you can't even compare it. So if you catch this you think you got a big haul, you have no idea. You have no idea. All you gotta do is watch some of these watch some of these shows that do documentaries on drug trafficking, and you will understand how ridiculous building a wall really is. Now, to be fair, will a wall slow down illegal immigration? Yeah, it's a wall. It's meant to slow people down, but will it stop immigrants from coming over? Absolutely not. That's stupidity. So come on, let's just see. That's what I'm saying. Why can't we just be honest? I'm going to build this wall to help slow down. That's how the statement should have went. I'm going to build a wall to help slow down the influx of immigrants coming over. It won't stop them, but it's a deterrent and a help for us to be able to set up this border. It's not rocket science. Who's gonna hate on that? Well, some property owners who live along that line who are Republicans start coming out saying, hey, wait a minute, you're going to tear down our place of living. That's a whole nother issue. I don't want to get up to that. I don't want to divert to that, but I'm just saying. So now that's problem number one. So we've got a couple of issues about immigration. One, Trump said he's going to build a wall. Mexico's going to play with it. We know that's not true. Two, what are you gonna do about the tunnels? Because tunnels goes under walls. There's not a wall deep enough that you're gonna make. You'd have to build a wall. Oh my goodness, how deep that wall would have to be. Have you seen some of the tunnels that they've been making, the elaborateness of it? Rail systems. We're not talking walking tunnels. We're talking train systems shuffling drugs back and forth. You have no idea. You people that are like in your houses watching TV and just going to work, you have and listening to everything you hear and come on. People, wake up. Let the middle help you guys, okay? Let the middle help the left and right. You guys are ridiculous. So here we go. Wall is a deterrent. That's it. Because you got tunnels. You've got tons of other things that are going to cause it a problem. Yes. Should we still build it? Yeah. Okay. Build it. So how are you going to pay for it? First of all, if you are very observant to how Trump is cutting budget, he cut budget from social services, education. He's stacking the money right now. He's getting the money from different places. He knows he's going to have to use money. So people are going to hurt to get this wall built. So when they were making these 10 to 20% cuts in other areas from social services, where it may be, stopping federal fundings in some states with sanctuary. Trust me, he's working the plan. Probably won't really be able to get the money together within a year. It'll take 2 to 3 years for him for the cuts he's making to at least be paid, start the process. Anybody with business sense knows that, okay? Budget your own house and see what you can and cannot afford. Then you can understand budgeting a wall is pretty much the same way. If there's not money, you can't have cable. It's just, okay, well, I'm going to just get you some Netflix and some Hulu until you can afford cable. That's how it is with the wall. He's just basically making cuts to various things until he can pay for it. So, immigration, we got a lot of issues. It's not easy. Issues number one, I can solve immigration in a very short statement. Stop providing jobs for them to do, and they will stop coming. Left, did you hear that? Right, did you hear? Because it's both of you guys. You think business owners of these companies are only Republicans? No, they're Democrats too. How do I know? Because I've had to go to some of these places to deal with their kids. You just do research. Whoever owns a company, let's use them, look them up and see who they are and do some research. It's both sides. It's the left and the right. You want people to stop coming here. Stop providing the jobs for them to come. Okay? Period. Point blank. Okay, Arquise, what if we do that? Okay, so here's what the business people are going to say. If we can't use illegal immigrants in our labor, Americans won't do this job. Well, that's probably not true. The problem is you're not willing to pay Americans enough to do the job. You hear that? That's the real issues for every business. You're not willing to pay Americans a living wage because it's so expensive here, especially if you're in California. Good luck. That's the truth, people. It's not rocket science. That's why people use exploited workforce, because they can pay them that little to nothing money. If you employ Americans, you got to pay them a living wage, or if you decide to be on the slick and give them minimum wage, whatever. But then you've got health care, you've got tons of things you got to pour into that. Man, these cats are not doing that. Okay, just be honest. That's why when you talk about immigration, no one ever talks about the how, because to talk about the how, now you've got to deal with the businesses that are donating to your political party. Hello, welcome to the middle. Welcome to the middle. See, in the middle, we understand all of this stuff. We sit back and watch the left and right and we just shake our head like they don't care about America at all. They just hate each other so much that the real issues are right in their face and they're not even willing to problem solve it. Immigration is not hard. You want to solve immigration? If I was if I was running for president, I would just make this basic statement. I'm going after all businesses that are employing illegal immigrants. You're going to stop it. We're going to find you and we're going to fine you. What? Then you're going to get a phone call. Hey, this is so-and-so over here at something farming, blah, 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 blah association, man. And that statement you made about
coming after these businesses with that are hiring these illegal immigrants, man. I mean, we would be out of business if we couldn't hire these guys, man. Blah blah blah.
That's what happens. That's what happens. They're going to admit that they need them and then pressure you to support that. That's why it's all talk. See? Welcome to the middle. I'm gonna just start saying that. Welcome to the middle. Because what I'm giving you is straight facts, not no fake promises to make you vote for me because I'm not in office. I'm just somebody who knows because I am in the middle and I see the good and bad on both sides, but I also do research and have some knowledge. And when I figure it out, I'm like, oh, here it is. Now I understand it. See? It's not complicated. I'm going to go after all the businesses that are hiring illegal immigrants. If we don't provide them the jobs, they won't come. Brilliant. That boy's good. Arkeez, you good, bro. I know. Yeah. So y'all want to stop playing now? Everybody want to stop getting their fantasy on? Because that's what it is. It's like you guys are living in a reality world. You just want to fake everything. Fake news, fake politics. It's just it can't be America of the fake people. We can't let that happen. That's where we're at. We're American of the fake everything. We want to believe everything that everybody says without no proof. Yes, that's true. It's just ridiculous. I've solved 2 problems in a couple of minutes, which takes them years to do. Yeah. Hey, let me show you how good I am. The next topic we're going to talk about is healthcare, because I've already solved the manufacturing problem. At least I've explained it to you to a point where it's understandable, and I've explained it to you to the point where it's understandable immigration. Those 2 ain't even rocket science, and that stuff is fact. Fact. It's historically fact, and it's currently fact that in both of those things, everything I said is true. Let's talk about healthcare. Now, here's the issue for me. If I believe that Barack Obama's Obamacare was bad for America, it's not rocket science. I would have already been working on a healthcare plan of my own and working on it until my party got back into the office. I'd have been spending the last 4 to 8 years getting everybody in line and understanding what I'm doing, having various conferences. I would have been working so hard. So when whoever finally won in my party to where when it was time to repeal and replace Obamacare, we're not going to be wasting time, right? But let me tell you what happened instead. First of all, when the Republicans got their teeth kicked in the first time, which is when Obama officially won, they never thought a black person was going to ever be president. Let's all be honest about that. Because let me say for myself, I never thought it. I saw it was potential to happen, but I never thought it was going to happen. B, definitely all Obama's policies were not things I was green lighting. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be paying for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an independent business person who pays taxes more than I should be. Hey, come on. Stop taxing me all over the place. So there are a lot of things that I had problems with, tons. So please, I didn't vote for him because he was black. I just thought he was going to do better than the rest. And on lots of levels, he did do better. Like I said, I'm in the middle. I can see the things good you did, but I can see the things I didn't like, right? So when that happened, of course, everybody was mad. No one wanted to work together. That's when it started, is when Obama came to office. The real hate from the right and left started then. And it had nothing to do with politics. No, of course it didn't. Just hated to lose. So you have 4 years. And so since then Obama did the whole Obamacare, whatever the official title is, right? And they were saying on the right that this is going to hurt health. This is going to do A, B, C, and D. Yeah, I believe it did happen. Some of the things that they said were going to happen did happen when it came to Obamacare. That was not a perfect plan. And of course, premiums got out of control in some states, not all, but enough to where it was a problem, right? But if you're a politician and you know this is bad, you are supposed to be working, even when you're losing, on the plan to replace it and getting everybody on the same page. But then what happened? Obama came up for a second term, and again, Republicans got their teeth kicked in. The shell shock of that loss was unbelievable. Like, trust me and believe they thought that there was no way he was going to get a second term, and then he got it, right? So instead of doing the work, which is the same thing we're doing to now, instead of everybody doing the work that needs to get done, all they were doing is building hate for the left and the left, arguing back and forth, getting nothing done. So everybody in the middle, what were we doing? You guys, please stop it already. We just, okay, we get it. You hate each other. Can we now get something done? So here's where we are now. Trump comes to office. First of all, Trump has never been a real anything, not a Democrat or Republican. He leans more to the right because of he's a businessman and some of his things, but he just hijacked the Republican party. That's all he did, which is why a lot of the Republicans don't like him. Like they already know he's not a real Republican. You can just use anything he said in the past. He's the flip-floppingest person I ever met. But he's president. It is what it is. I won't even deal with the racial stuff in the appointment of Bannon and all. That's a whole nother issue I'll talk about another day. I want to just kind of keep rolling on this political front. I want people to understand you guys have to stop being so surface when it comes to politics. And this is why watching Obamacare completely not get repealed is because nobody in the non-political arena understood the complexities of repealing Obamacare, right? You just assume by your basic political knowledge, because the Republicans are in the House, Senate, and everything else, and a president, that it was a green light and it was done. I told you guys that was not going to work because the Republicans are broken into certain kind of parties, conservatives and this and that and Tea Party. Look, I'll give the Democrats credit on this part of it. The Democrat is more of a team than the Republicans are. The Republicans infight a lot based off of a lot of things. The Democrats have it, but it's different. The Republicans are their own worst enemies. They always have been. So here we come. It's time to it's time to get rid of Obamacare, and they didn't have a real plan. They tried to put together some plans of people's plans from the past, and they did a disservice to the American people by not having this thing in the chamber ready to pull with everybody on board. That should have been a no-brainer. And Trump is trying to tell everybody, like, we're going to get one shot at this because I'm screwing up so bad. I might not make it a second term. Especially now, man. Trust me, his legacy is in jeopardy, whatever that's going to be, because the Republicans are going to screw him over, believe it. So now what you end up having is them screwing it up multiple times to the point where Trump was like, just let it completely implode, right? Because you guys just don't get it. So then you have McCain. That's my dude, man. McCain came in. You see, the issue was repeal and replace. Repeal and replace. And that's what Trump ran on. So then when the replace wasn't there, you had too many Republicans just say repeal it. But the fact of the matter is, for anybody that doesn't understand healthcare, I'm in the healthcare field, I get it. That would have been the most devastating thing to America, is to repeal that and don't have a plan in place. That's why McCain voted down on it. It's not like he didn't want to repeal it, but he was like, hey, do you have any idea what this is going to do across the board to the numbers of millions of Americans? Like, geez, like it wasn't worth doing. So, and from the middle, we got it. We understood it. It was like, yeah, that's not rocket science. Repeal and replace. That's the only thing that would have ever worked. Not just repeal and work. Let's repeal it and worry about it later. You know, let's build a foundation. Let's build a house without nails. Let's build a pool without water and go swimming. It's stupid. Oh my God. Desperate. When you desperate, you do dumb things. Healthcare is not repeal and replace it. Just that's simple. See what I'm saying? It's not even, oh my goodness. But of course, we saw what happened with that. Welcome to the middle. I'm just going to keep saying that. Listen to me. Come to the middle and use logic and facts. Do a little research and digging, and stop being hating on each other on the left and right. Agree to disagree, and then push it. Keep moving on. Because this other stuff y'all doing, we're all tired of it. I'm telling you, they say that, this is what they say the demographic is. They say that independents, the people in the middle, are 45 to 55% of America, that the Republicans are 25%, or whatever, however it breaks down to 100%, 25 or something like that. But basically, the independents in the middle are the majority of Americans. But the people controlling America are the people who are in the